Mhm. Welcome, welcome, everybody who's joining us. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Valentine's Day. For Valentine's Day, I made my wife some of the most amazing fudge that I've ever made. It was a recipe I found on Facebook using Nutella fudge, and it's exactly as amazing as you think it's going to be. It was quite, it was really easy too. It was just like condensed sweetened milk, Nutella, some dark chocolate chips, a little vanilla, melt it and let it set. It was the easiest thing ever, but oh my gosh. My whole family, we cannot leave the stuff alone. It's amazing. So, if anyone needs a last minute Valentine's Day idea, see, exactly. Yeah. Oh, you need a last minute idea. That's the way to go. And you put like a little sea salt on top, everything. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So, because today is Valentine's Day, we felt it would be super appropriate to do a presentation about love and what we love about the internet. So, allow me to begin by introducing myself. I'm Aaron Lee Yeager. I'm an author. I write middle grade fantasy. My flagship series is called The Forge and the Flame. It's about a boy who becomes an apprentice to a blacksmith who makes magic swords. And what's really fun about it is I incorporate a lot of real blacksmithing techniques. I'm an apprentice blacksmith. It's one of my hobbies. And so we bring in these lessons from the forge on how to make tools and weapons using blacksmithing, and we dovetail that in with lessons about making good life choices and being an honorable person. And so that was kind of the goal I had when writing it is I wanted to write a book about being what that would teach kids to be an honorable person. And but it's wrapped up in so much fantasy fun. You never even realize that they're being taught. So that's my day job, or I guess that's my night job. My day job is I work for Digital Responsibility, and it's something I really believe in. It's something I think is important. I want to be a force for good in the world, and so um, I think the most, if we're going to talk about love, we should start with one of the things I love the most, which is Star Wars. We got any Star Wars fans in chat? Got to be at least a couple, right? And one of the lessons that is in Star Wars is Qui Gon Jinn says, "Your focus determines your reality," and it's actually very profound. What it means is, quite simply, whatever you focus on, that is real for you. Because the world is filled with all sorts of things, right? Filled with good things and bad things. And whatever you look for, you will find. And if you look for bad things, you'll find them. And if you look for good things, you'll find them too. And the more that you find them, the more that will appear real to you. And so, whatever you're looking at for, that's what reality is for you. And so I think a lot of times we spend a lot of time on the negative. I wanted to focus on the positive. So that's what we're here to do today. We're going to be talking about the things that I love about the internet because there is so much good stuff on there. So I'm going to keep the chat window open. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know as we go. You don't have to wait till the end. Just go ahead and ask me. All right, slide number 2. All right, there I am. Oh, look at that. That's a good shot. There's the guy. My beard was longer then. I used to have this wonderful red beard. Now it's all white. All right. So, favorite things about the internet. We asked the other employees at Digital Responsibility what they like about the internet. And some of the answers they gave was that there was just so much information, right? Like as an author, the if you were to like look at the internet and what it is, it's almost magical, right? Like it's like a magic crystal ball that you can access the sum total of all human knowledge and information with. It's actually pretty remarkable, right? You can learn things from any number of experts in all different kinds of fields and things, and you can find people who are like-minded with your passions and your hobbies. One of the best things about it is you can stay connected with people who are far from you. And it used to be if your family members lived a long ways away, it's very likely that you just would never have any contact with them. And now you can have contact all the time. And you can also meet new people. You can learn about your genealogy and culture and history, all of these things. Of course, news and current events. It's always very important to stay informed about the things in the world because you need to be informed in order to make good decisions. And of course, there's entertainment and gaming, which we spend a lot of time on, but it really is amazing. There are, man, it's one of those things that kind of that we authors have to be mindful of is there are like 1,000 new books uploaded to Amazon every single day. I mean, there's more books written in a day than you could do in a lifetime. So those are some of the things that we really like about the internet. I want to pose it to you guys if you guys might be willing to write a little something in chat. What are some of your favorite things about the internet? What do you guys like about it? Google Maps. Oh my gosh, yes, yes. I remember when if you were going somewhere you had never been before and you didn't know how to get there, you, you were just wandering around. Or there was a middle ground in the 90s where we would print out instructions on how to get somewhere, like go here, turn on this off ramp, go here, turn on that. And it was like a 3-page printout. Oh my gosh. That was, and if you got lost, if you got off of that path, oh heaven help you. Now it's just like, oh my gosh, wherever you want to go, set up. Yeah, Google Maps, that's a great one. MapQuest, yes. Oh, I love that. Streaming music, I love that answer. I love that. I love music, and I love experiencing new kinds of music and new artists and stuff. And it is so much easier than it has ever been. I mean, it used to be there used to be so many more gatekeepers to music. If you weren't popular enough to get with like a big record label and get your own vinyls in the record store, the people probably would just never even hear of you. And now even very small artists can have a platform for people to discover and listen to their music, and removing those gatekeepers and just allowing the audience to decide for themselves what music they're going to listen to, like that. That's absolutely epic making. That's wonderful, and it's for all manner of art. A lot of my books are self-published, and I wouldn't have been able to do that 2 decades ago, at least with any realistic expectation of having people find my books. Because it used to be if you couldn't get your books on a bookshelf, no one would hear about them. But now you can have digital books, and a bookshelf that doesn't have limited space like a bookstore does, and so you can have very, very niche genres, and you can appeal to a very small audience, and it doesn't really matter if it's a small audience, because the amount of space in a digital bookstore is essentially infinite. Yeah, that's ease of purchasing tickets for movies, concerts, play. Yes. Oh my gosh. Also, I would add reviews for like vacation destinations and stuff like that. That's huge, right? So there's so many great things. Those are good answers. Well done, guys. Well done. Let's go on to the next slide here. So some of the benefits of the internet that that we're going to be talking about, because the internet is a tool, right? And like any tool, the better you use it, the more you're going to get out of it. right? Because a screwdriver is a very, very useful tool. But if you try to hammer a nail in with a screwdriver, it's not going to go that well, right? So the first one I want to talk about is breaking down barriers. Okay, I think this is huge, huge. I lived for a couple of years in Argentina as an LDS missionary, and it was amazing the effect that it has on people to have real contact and communication with people. Because as humans, we tend to be wary of people who are not part of our immediate group, right? It's an instinct that we've had for probably millions of years that served us well. If you're wary of a of a group that's out there, they might be a threat to you. But we live in a different era now, and those instincts don't really benefit us as much as they used to. The likelihood that a neighboring tribe is going to come in and take your farmland is much less today than it used to be. But our wariness remains, and if we're not mindful of that wariness, it can lead to fear. It can lead to demonizing the other, right? And so how do we combat that? Well, we combat that with actual contact. When I was in Argentina, it was amazing all of the things that people down there had heard about Americans, right? And all of the misconceptions and fearful stories that they had been told about us. And all of that would go away within just a few minutes of talking to us, right? And they'd realize, oh my gosh, these are just regular people like anybody else, and that we have more in common than we do in difference. And that all happens when we have, when we actually meet new people and communicate with others. And so that ability to break down barriers, to allow people who maybe are separated geographically, who would never realistically meet one another, to actually get a chance to communicate and connect, that's huge. That's huge because it doesn't just affect the person with the contact, it has like a ripple effect, right? Because the people who would talk to us, later on they'd be in a conversation with people and Americans would come up and they'd be like, oh yeah, I heard Americans like this. And someone would raise their hand going, oh no, I met some once and this is what they're really like. And so real genuine communication has this ripple effect of replacing suspicion and rumor with truth, right? And that's how barriers are broken down, right? And so that I think is one of the most positive and most powerful things that the internet can do, is it can allow people who probably never would have met otherwise to interact with one another. But it must be done in the right way. And so we're talking about that. Civil discourse is the keystone. The ability to talk to someone in a respectful and polite way is absolutely fundamental. No one likes to be treated rudely. No one. And a lot of the times, people, because of the anonymity that the internet often provides, people forget that there's another person on the other side of that screen, right? And they'll say things to that person online that they would never consider saying if they were face to face, right? It just wouldn't even occur to them to behave that. And unfortunately, that discourteousness can lead to the opposite effect of breaking down barriers, which is erecting new ones. And so it's very important that we, when we are communicating with people, especially if it's people we disagree with, right? Because people disagree about everything. You try ordering a pizza and put pizza toppings on it and just see. We can't even get 12 people to decide what to put on the pizza, let alone very important issues. And if an issue is important, people are going to be passionate about it. And if it's really important, it's going to be a critical thing. And so the desire to be angry or to be disgruntled is already going to be built into just the things that we're talking about. And that's when it's even more important to be polite and civil, because we can disagree with someone without being rude to them, right? And we can disagree with them without taking offense. It's very important to try to understand what other people are saying. Though I think the goal of all good communication should be understanding. You don't necessarily have to change their opinion, and you don't have to change yours. But it is important that you at least come to understand why they think the way they do. Here's a great litmus test for you. If you're talking to someone and you disagree, if at the end of that conversation you can articulate their point of view in a meaningful way, then at least you understand them, right? Without demonizing their point of view, without describing it in the least charitable way possible. You don't have to agree with it, but you do need to be able to at least understand where they're coming from. And when people feel that they're being understood, they get a lot more reasonable. You'd be amazed. Just the simple act of going, okay, this is kind of what I understand. You think that this and this, and this is important because of that. Is that right? And they go, yeah, that is how I think. That right there, that moment is usually when people let their guard down and they're like, okay, I can be reasonable with this person because they're willing to understand me. Very, very important. The other thing is, don't isolate yourself from other points of view. It's become very trendy over the last few years for people to, especially on social media, they'll say things like, hey, if you think this way, unfriend me now because I refuse to be friends with anyone who thinks this way. That's very, very dangerous. It's very dangerous because the only time that it's a good idea to cut yourself off from someone is if you're 100% right. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know anyone who's 100% right all the time. None of us are. We all benefit from engaging with one another and listening to other points of view. And when you cut yourself off from other points of view, you inhibit your ability to see other perspectives, your ability to learn, your ability to grow, and your ability to resolve problems. Because in a very real way, if you remove civil discourse from the table, if you say, I refuse to talk to anyone who disagrees with me, well, then how are we going to resolve problems? How are we going to resolve situations? Right? Because now we can't even sit down at the table and hammer out a compromise because you're unwilling to even sit down at the table to begin with. Very, very dangerous. Because when you remove civil discourse as a tool for solving problems, then the problems don't get solved and they just get worse and worse and they metastasize. And then you get a situation where then now the only way to solve a problem is with conflict and violence. And that's bad for everybody. So very important. Don't isolate yourself from other points of view. You do not have to adopt those points of view, but you should not isolate yourself from them. All right, let's go on to this thing. Teaching yourself skills. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, this is one of the biggest things out there. With the internet, you guys have at your fingertips so much information that you can use to improve your skills. Whenever people talk about self-esteem and stuff, it seems like they're always focusing on changing your perception of yourself. A lot of meditating, a lot of self-reflecting, not enough doing. Not enough doing. If you want to improve your self-esteem, achieve something, accomplish something, create something, make something, preferably something you've never made before, something you've never accomplished before. You see, we humans, we're creators. That's what we do. We make things, right? We make families, we make friendships, we make communities, we make inventions. We are creators. And as wonderful as it is to consume things that other people have created, it's not nearly as satisfying as making something yourself, right? Like I have a knife that I forged myself. I could have bought it from the store, and probably would have been a better quality had I made it for myself. But there's something so primally satisfying about taking earth and fire and making a knife, right? And that knife is mine, right? It wasn't made in a factory. There's only one like it in the whole world. It's uniquely mine. It belongs to me. I've added to the substance of the world. And that's what, if you want to feel better about yourself, create something. Don't worry about whether or not it's going to be good. Just make something, right? Make a song, make a painting, learn a new skill. There are so many videos out there that you can watch that'll teach you how to do stuff. Remember, like the happy little tree guy, Bob Ross? Follow along his videos. It's actually really fun. I've painted a bunch of paintings along with him. And no, it's not going to be as good as what he does. But letting go of the obsession with being the best is one of the best things you can do for your self-esteem. Because if you think about it in the world, how many number ones are there? You know, of all the people who paint, how many best painters are there? Well, there's just one, right? And even then it's kind of iffy, because like, how do you even determine best painter anyway? And even if you could mathematically say this person is at the apex, would they even know it? Right? They probably look at the person next to them and go, well, this guy does this better than I do, and this lady does this better than I do. So letting go, we Americans, we're very much obsessed with being the best. Let go of that. Just create something, just make something. And you'll be happier, because you'll have made an impact on your surroundings. And and then the best part is you can share what you've created with others, and that's a lot of fun. And the internet can help you so much with this. Literally, make a list of skills you don't have, right? And anything, and you'll find very quickly, man, I really don't know how to do very many things, right? Especially if when I started writing in a fantasy world, I started realizing, I don't know how to make a barrel. I don't know how to I don't know how to fix a shoe. I barely know how to sew, right? Make a list of things you don't know, and then pick one, and then teach yourself that skill. Go on YouTube and just do a search for tutorial on this, and you will find so many videos that'll take you step by step on how to do these things. Over the last couple of years, I've been teaching myself how to paint like little toy soldiers. I was terrible at it before. I'm probably objectively still terrible about it now, but I'm way better than I was a couple of years ago. And every time I look at them, I feel an immense amount of satisfaction, because I did that. I made that. I painted that. And then I get to share it with people, and they're like, "You painted that?" I'm like, "I painted that." And that's the true source of self-esteem. If you want to be happier, learn to create something. All right, let's go on this way. Learn something new. Yes, sum total of all knowledge is at your fingertips. One of the things that you'll learn about humans is we love to learn naturally. Unfortunately, it's often beaten out of us by the school system, which you'd think is the opposite of what it should do, but it's true. And that's because schools tend to focus on memorization. And honestly, memorization is an outdated skill. It was really important 150 years ago, when looking up something was a several day process of finding, traveling to wherever there was a book repository or a library of some sort, going through stacks and stacks of stuff to find the appropriate encyclopedia or whatever, and finding the what you were looking for. That was, so being able to do that from recall was a very important skill for a very long time. But with the internet and stuff, and you can just do instant searches, memorization is not an important skill anymore. It's utterly meaningless in a world where you can just Google search whatever you need. But understanding, that's what you should be striving for, right? When you're studying history, right? Don't just study the dates. Try to understand why those things happened. Why did those people make the decisions that they did? What were their lives like? How were their lives impacted? Right? History is the story of us and how we became to be the way we are now. History is a very important thing to understand, because to understand history is to understand us. And to understand our future, we need to understand how we came to be where we are right now. But focus on trying to understand things, not just memorize them. Memorization is an old paradigm. Yeah. All right. Some suggestions. All right. So I've been talking a little vague up until now. So let's go through some specific websites and stuff like that, that I've kind of collated together to give you guys some specific examples. So first up, we have watch a documentary about something you're passionate about. There's a website called documentaryhaven.com. Every documentary under the sun. Are you interested in penguins? There is a list of documentaries about penguins, and you can just watch them until the cows come home. Right? Maybe you're really interested in the Revolutionary War, the American Revolutionary War. There's so much out there about that. Maybe you're interested in learning about the printing press, right? Excellent. There's stuff there about that. I was watching one the other day about how people in the olden times kept their houses lit, right? Because lanterns and like whale oil lanterns are kind of a more modern invention. We're talking 150, 200 years ago. Well, how did they do it in antiquity? How did they keep their houses lit? And it was this amazing little rabbit hole that I went down, and I learned about rushlights, which are from Northern Ireland. There's this tall grass, and if you strip the outer peel off the grass, you end up with this white the white stalk that's inside the grass that is just a cluster of little tubules, and it's a natural wick. And then you boil a bunch of fish livers to get the fish oil out. And then you have a little clay dish. You put the wick in there, you put the oil in there, and you light the end, and bam, you've got yourself a rushlight that'll last for 6-7 hours. They also have a way of making little candles out of pines. They're called fir candles, F-I-R, fir candles. And what they would do is they would cut the joints of the fir trees where all the amber will kind of gather and coalesce. And because the wood there is so saturated with the amber, if you cut it into little slivers, like little pencil shapes, you light the end, and you got a good 6-7 minutes of a really nice bright light. It's called a fir candle, and you don't need any modern technology to achieve that. And so, there's so much out there to learn, and when you go down these rabbit holes, it can be really, really fun and entertaining and exciting. All right, next one. Watch any of the amazing TED Talks from TED.com. There's so many good TED Talks out there. Especially if you're the kind of person like me where you want to understand the problems that we're facing. Like, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is solving our power problems. We need to make gargantuan amounts of electricity, and we need to do it in a way that doesn't kill everything around us and ourselves. And so there's some great TED Talks about advances they've made in nuclear power and modern designs that don't make any nuclear waste. And like thorium reactors and stuff like that, where there's no radioactivity involved. They're very, very, very safe designs, stuff like that. I mean, just whatever you're interested in. Third one I list here: see beautiful pictures from the Hubble Space Telescope on NASA.gov. I mean, there is just some amazing stuff out there. Oh my gosh! And just recently, we had the rover go by Pluto, and we got some of the best images of Pluto we've ever had. And what we find is that this little fuzzy pebble out there is actually this lush and surprisingly pink planet. All these surprises out there. So there's three out there. Don't worry, I got more. This is just the first slide. Ask a question to someone who's actually lived through something amazing, from Quora.com. This one is, I use this as a writer all the time, because as an author, what you don't want to do is just base what you're writing off of what other people have written, right? You want to base it off people who've had actual experiences. But I've never been shot before, so how do I know what it feels like? You talk to someone who has, and you can. They have questions. They're like, what does it feel like to be shot through the leg? And you'll get some soldiers there who will say, yeah, this is what it feels like. And there is something so amazing about going directly to the source, someone who's actually experienced something, and just learning about their experience. Just as history is enriching about how we got here. This is very enriching because you can tap into the collective experience, people who have experienced things that you never have and hopefully never will, because the last thing you want to do to learn what it feels like to get shot is to shoot yourself. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. So Quora.com is wonderful. And that is a rabbit hole that you can just go down for days and days and days. You're just like, oh my gosh, what is this like? What is that like? What does it sound like when a mortar shell goes off near you? There's so much cool stuff. Here's a great one. Find a group and play Dungeons and Dragons online. Roll20.com. You don't even have to leave your house anymore. You can just do it online with other people. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since the early 80s. And as cool as video games are and stuff like that, there is still nothing better than getting together with a group of your friends and with pencil and paper and imagining up a story. It's just the best. That human quality. Also, board games too. I'm really into board games, especially with my kids. We have like a board game night where we play together, because that interaction of playing with other people, then nothing beats that. It's just the best. And for those of you who don't know about Dungeons and Dragons, it's very, very simple game. If you've ever taken like an acting class where you do like improvisation, like, okay, we're going to do a scene, and you're the innkeeper, and you're the archer who just walked in the door. All right, and we're going to play out a little scene. That's all D&D really is it's just story. It's cooperative storytelling where one person is essentially the narrator, the dungeon master is the narrator, and then each person plays different characters, and you tell an adventure story, or you tell a comedic story, or you tell a tragedy. You tell whatever kind of story you want. Dungeons and Dragons is really, there's a reason why it is so popular, and it's just amazing. Make your own music. Credibox.com has all the sliders and mixers and everything you could need, all for free. And they have a lot of pre-loaded beats and stuff like that you can mix and match and add different layers in and stuff. If making music is something you've wanted to do, go do it, right? Learn how to do it. And don't worry about if it's amazing or not, because it doesn't have to be amazing. It just has to be yours. Does that make sense? All right, let's do some more. Design your own model to 3D print. 3D printing has absolutely exploded. The level of detail that they can get and stuff like that, it would absolutely blow your mind. So, no longer do you have to learn how to sculpt, although learning how to sculpt is actually a really good idea. You can design, go to Shapeways. You can actually design your little model and then 3D print it. If you don't have a 3D printer, you can find someone who does. There's actually places like Etsy.com where you can hire people to 3D print things for you at a pretty reasonable price. So even if you don't know anyone with a 3D printer, you can still do that. And one of my buddies, he actually did like a scan of his face, and he 3D printed a little soldier that looks like him, and he got a big kick out of that. He thought that was great. Make your own art. Klecky.com has all of the a lot of art is done with tablets and stuff like that. It's essentially like a tablet that you can use to make your own thing. It's wonderful. Here's a great one that I highly recommend. Duolingo. Learn a new language. There is so much richness that comes from learning a second language, or a third, or a fourth, because one of the things you very, very quickly learn when you start learning another language is the concept of translation is something of a myth, right? You can get the ballpark a meaning across, but each language has its own nuances and its own cultural meanings that are attached to each and every word that you lose when you just do a direct translation. And honestly, there's a lot of things that we say that if you were to translate them directly would just be utter nonsense. Like, think about all the idioms and catechisms that we use. Like, oh, they drove me up the wall. Like translate that out directly. Drove you up. What does that mean? Drive me up a wall. That's meaningless. A lot of what we say is we're actually like quoting movies and books and memes and stuff like that. There's a whole coded layer to language that we don't usually think about. We think in very simple terms. Chair means chair, but sword means sword. But remember, even very simple things mean different things in different cultures, right? If we say sword in America, we're probably going to think of like a cruciform crusader's sword, right? Like a knightly sword. And all of the concepts of chivalry and knightly behavior that are they're attached to that word. But if you say sword in Japan, right, it's going to conjure up an image of the curved samurai sword and all of the code of the samurai and all of the history of the shogunates and everything like that. So you can see how even very simple words have a lot of things attached to them that are utterly lost when you translate. And that's why I say translation isn't really a thing. But if you learn another language, then you can pick up on all of those things, right? And the meaning is so much more rich. And the ability to communicate directly with other people without the need of like an app or something like that it's absolutely wonderful. People, when you go to another country and they can tell you have made an attempt to learn their language, even if you're not that great at it, they will be so much more likely to engage with you and like you because they can tell that you've tried. Again, let go of the idea of perfection. You're not gonna be as flawless as a native speaker, but you don't need to be. You just need to be competent enough. I shouldn't say fluent. Competent enough to make a good connection with people. And learn how to do magic. Goodtricks.net. You can learn all sorts of tricks from very simple like card tricks to very elaborate things. And having a couple like magic tricks that you just kind of know and just kind of have in your back pocket is a really, really great icebreaker for a lot of situations. Some people get so good at like close-up magic with cards and stuff and everything. It's absolutely mesmerizing to look at. And I'm gonna use that to kind of go back to an earlier point. One of the things that's universally attractive is competence, right? If someone's good at something, it's immediately engaging. I will watch for hours videos on like YouTube where someone is like a glass blower, just doing his craft, or even like a street vendor making food. When they're just really good at it, it's absolutely mesmerizing, right? One of the most universally attractive things is competence, and here's the great thing about that. That is an element of attraction that we have complete control over, right? Because if you're born short, there's really not much you can do to change that, right? But you can control your level of competence. And if you're good at lots of stuff, that's amazingly attractive to everybody. So that's so kind of an appropriate thing to bring up on Valentine's Day, a little bit of dating advice. Get good at stuff. And you know what? It doesn't matter what stuff. If you're good at stuff, people will like that. Learn how to cook. Oh my gosh. One of my favorite things in the world is to cook and try new recipes and things like that. And learn from people who are really, really good. Gordon Ramsay, he's known for, yelling at people, but if you watch just like his regular channel where he's just making stuff, he is really good at what he does. And like his ability to just like make steak and tacos and stuff you just watch it and you learn so much just by watching them do it. And cooking is a great skill for everyone to have. I'm teaching all my kids to cook. My sons, my daughters, everyone. I think everyone should know how to cook because cooking is such a great way of bringing down the cost of living. Because let's be honest, food is expensive. It's very expensive, but ingredients are not expensive. If you've got a sack of potatoes, a sack of flour, sack of rice, and then a few other things to kind of garnish it, you can make a lot of really great meals for very, very little money. And so if you don't know how to cook, I would highly recommend that you teach yourself how, because you can really, really improve your quality of life by just the amount of money you're going to not have to spend to feed yourself. and your family. I have a pair of friends who live in New York City. They're both professionals, very successful, no kids. Neither one of them knows how to cook. Neither one. How much money do you think they spend on I say groceries? They don't cook. How much do you think they spend on food every month? Type out in chat. What's your guess? What is their monthly food budget? 2,200. That's a good guess. That's a really good guess. It's actually almost double that. $4,000 a month because they have to eat out 3 times a day for 2 people in New York City. $4,000 a month just on food. I feed my entire family for $200 a month because I know how to cook. It's very, very important. Everyone knows how to cook. And you don't have to be super, super good at it. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so let's talk about some more positivity, ways to encourage kindness, because a lot of the things that we've been talking about today kind of come back to this idea of being kind to one another, right? In our communications and in our interactions and stuff like that. It's amazingly important. So here's some cool ideas that we have here at Digital Respons-Ability. Have a kindness week or day to bring attention to people. And this is something that can be great for like workplace and stuff like that. If you have some people in your workplace that you don't know very well, this can be a great way of kind of bringing them into the group, right? Another thing you can do that's really, really important is encourage people to share things that they're passionate about. A lot of the communication that we do, especially as adults, is very perfunctory, right? How are you doing today? I'm fine. How are you? I'm good. We say the things that we're supposed to say. There's very little sincerity behind any of it. And you can actually go days without having a real conversation with anybody. So how do you break people out of that? Because if you're just talking perfunctorily, you're never really getting to know other people, especially in the workplace, right? Where all of your communication can be perfunctory. This is my secret. Get them to share something that they're passionate about. Because when people when people say what they're supposed to say, they're not being genuine. But when they talk about something they love, all their sincerity and genuineness comes out. Right. One of the things that I did at one of the places I used to work is every month one person would bring in their hobby to show off to people. And some of the hobbies were very, very simple. One guy collected stamps, but listening to him talk about his collection of stamps and how he had gone about acquiring each one and the research that he had done, and just feeling his passion and listening to how much it meant to him. At the end of that it wasn't long, it was like 10 minutes. Right? At the end of those 10 minutes, I felt I knew more about him than I had in years of working together because I had seen the real person for the first time. So that's a great thing you can do. Get people to talk about and share things that they're passionate about, but make them feel safe to do so, because the reason people don't normally share what they're passionate about is they're worried about being criticized or judged. So you've got to create an environment where they can feel safe to do it. And of course, it goes without saying, don't criticize people for the things they love, right? That's very, very common reaction, especially if it's something that you might think is a little dumb. Well, I'll tell you a secret. The things that you love seem dumb to other people too. That's just inevitable. Not everyone likes the same things. Some people are so passionate about sports, right? Like the Super Bowl was yesterday. The only reason I know the Super Bowl was yesterday is because that people were talking about on Facebook. I wouldn't have even known because I don't watch football. And it's really, really dumb to me. But it doesn't matter. What matters is it means something to them. And I do like listening to people talk about the things that they love. And even if it's something I don't share, like football, I love listening to people talk about their passion for the sport. Because when you hear their passions, you meet the real person. Another suggestion here, provide a buddy bench or an area where kids can go if they're alone and they want to make a new friend. One of the things that we're becoming a little more isolated, especially after COVID, and a lot of people are working from home now. And that's a good thing, mind you. There's a lot of really great wonderful opportunities that come from working remotely. But we're becoming people sometimes have difficulty signaling to other people that they want to make a friend, right? How do you do that, right? Do you put like a little badge, something like, I would like a friend today? So if you give people an opportunity um, to show that they're looking to make a friend, that's a really great way of breaking down the reluctance people have to approach one another, because it's a little awkward to go up to someone and say, hello, I would like to be your friend. It is, and we never actually say it that way. We're never that direct. It's usually more subtle. But a buddy bench or something is a great a way to give people an opportunity to signal in a safe way that I would like a friend. And then if someone wants to be their friend, they can go up, be their friend. Share examples of kindness in the school newsletter or social media, etc. This goes back to our earlier point about, if your focus determines your reality. Just uh, focus on good, positive things, and the world will feel like a good, positive place, because it is. You just have to look for it. Give opportunities in the classroom for students to share good news. This is another great thing. Instead of just complaining time, do gratitude time. Right. I don't know about you, but I find people who complain all the time to be wearisome. Right. And I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. There are some people that are just like a black hole, and just they suck all the energy out of the room, because all they talk about is the things that they hate. Give people a chance to talk about the things that they love, things that they're grateful for, things that are positive in their life. Because positivity radiates out and enriches the people around you, and negativity draws in to itself and sucks the life out of the people around you. As children and students, when they come home from school or return from regular school, what is one kind thing you did for someone? Or what is one kind thing someone did for you? Get people thinking about it. And when they're thinking about it, they'll look for opportunities. All right. I like this slide. That we're one of the things we're doing as digital responsibilities. We're putting together a video game that can be played on kids' classroom devices. It's like a choose your own adventure novel. It's called The Peaks of Avalon, where kids learn about making good choices and stuff like that. And these are some of our heroes from the game. And this has been really fun for me, because I got to design and write these characters and stuff like that. And this is a great example of me going outside my comfort zone, because I'd never made a video game before. Right. But the process has taught me so much. And I was able to reach out to people who have made the soundtrack and have made the music for it, and background artists to make the background art, and artists to do the character work. And it taught me a lot about how to describe what I had in my head, so that the artist would know what to do with it and stuff like that. And so that's something we're working on. We're hoping to have that ready soon. So I want to thank you guys for listening to my little presentation today. We have a few minutes left, so if any of you guys have any questions that you would like to ask me, maybe something that you wanted me to cover but I didn't, now is the time. The floor is yours. Do you guys have any questions you want to lob at me? You may have heard my son playing in the background. He's been actually really, really good during my presentation. So everyone say thank you to AJ. Thank you, AJ. Well, Aaron Jr. All right. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today. It was really, really fun to present these things to you. I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I hope that that this has been great for some of you guys. And if any of you guys have any experiences that start today, like maybe if in 6 months you're like, after that thing, I went and I learned how to sculpt clay pottery, and this is a piece of pottery that I'm really proud of. Share it with us. I would absolutely love to see the end product of something that started here today. So yeah, that would be awesome. All right, and then okay, so next month we're going to have another webinar. Okay, so if you look there, we've posted it in chat. It'll be on March 7th at 1 p.m. So I hope to see all of you. I hope we see, because it'll be Carrie doing that webinar. We hope to see everyone there, and invite other people if you think they'd like to join in on that. And let's see, there is a slide. There we go. Is this the slide that you want? The questions or comments. There we go. There we go. Here we go. Here's the slide. I knew it. So this is for our next webinar. We hope to see all of you guys there, and everything like that. All righty. Casey, is there anything else you'd like me to cover before we end the stream? All righty. In that case, I will bid all of you guys a wonderful Valentine's Day, and we hope to see you guys again next month.